So get your shit together.
The more connections you have, the easier it will be to break you.
You look like an idiot.
It's your scarf. We make quite a team.
No.
What are you talking about? Bulletproof. Blind ninja. Whatever it is you are.
Classy.
The Defenders is a brand new Netflix Marvel show that brings together Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, and Iron Fist, as it is time to finally go up against the Hand, a very villainous organization that has their, well, literal fingers within the confines of New York. The Hand essentially is an underground organization that has control over pretty much everything. That was hinted at in the first season of Daredevil. There's a lot of similarities to this entire Phase 1 of Marvel Netflix. To even the first the first sort of phase of Marvel's own cinematic universe. Take Daredevil, for instance. It's the first in this Netflix lineup, and guess what was first in the cinematic universe lineup? Iron Man. Both having red costumes towards the very end, but just red costumes. But if that's not coincidence enough, the next show is Jessica Jones, a person with very inhuman type abilities with strength. And guess what was the second film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe? Incredible Hulk, a person with inhuman abilities that has a bunch of strength. So the next film is Iron Man 2, and guess what got a second season? Yes, Daredevil Season 2, and so on and so forth. Now, if we were to continue this trend, Iron Fist would be the equivalent of Captain America, which, to me, is not very fair. Captain America is obviously a better, more defined character than what Marvel Netflix has done so far. But yeah, with all that aside, let's get to the show. So when the Hand actually is trying to ramp up their production of their plan, so to say, with the Black Sky, who is Elektra, that was set up in Season 2 of Daredevil, we come to know that they're trying to get to Kunlun. And there is going to be some minor spoilers, but they want to get to Kunlun for some reason. Either they want to just go back and stay in Kunlun, or they want to burn it all to the ground. So it's up to Danny Rand, or Iron Fist, and the other Defenders in the series to try to come together and take down the Hand once and for all. This is a fairly entertaining season. The first 4 episodes especially are pretty good at building up the team. And by episode 5, I was really into it. It keeps going, it keeps your interest, but they do some very tropish things towards the end that I'm not quite certain that will please anyone. So, this is where I get into some of the spoilers, actually. So, if you're not wanting spoilers, click off, but you've had a week to watch this. It's 8 episodes long, 8 hours, so you can binge it on Saturdays or whatnot. But essentially, what happens in the show is that Danny Rand gets kidnapped. He gets abducted by the Hand, and he opens the gate to Kunlun. And they do this trope of, well, one of our guys has been kidnapped. We need to go and save him because we need to save him. That's essentially the trope, and I've seen it in so many action films and action TV shows that it becomes almost a parody at this point. But it's not. It's just kind of played for serious. It's not a huge derailment of the series as I'm supposedly making it out to be, but it's just one of those things I noticed that has been in pretty much most of the media that we consume nowadays. But everything about this show is actually still pretty good. The character writing is as strong as ever. The fight sequences, there's one fight sequence in particular that I wasn't too thrilled about because of the shot composition and the editing of this one action sequence. You'll see it when you see it, but one particular action sequence is not entirely up to snuff. It's not the best, but it's not the worst. It's just not very enjoyable. The rest of the series Netflix likes to do things in halls, so you do have the hall fights. It's kind of a trademark of these Netflix shows with Marvel, but they're still they're done pretty well. One thing that's also interesting to note is that this was also done in the marketing as well, is that each character has their own specific color. Daredevil being red, Jessica Jones being blue, Luke Cage being yellow, and Iron Fist being green. But there's certain times in the show where you have characters meet up. There's one sequence in particular where Jessica Jones and Daredevil meet up in costume, and there's just red and blue in the same room, like red and blue colorization in the room. I think that's a really nice way to communicate that, we have these two big characters, these larger-than-life characters, actually come to life in this room. It's pretty nice to notice. I always notice these little things about color in films, with lighting and colorization. It can tell a lot about the product that's being released. The one major flaw I find with this film is that some of the characters are not quite as interesting. I think Sigourney Weaver was a really great villain. She's not this diabolical, she was just a restrained person. She was a great leader of the Hand, but it kind of falls into the same trap as Luke Cage, where you have this really awesome villain, and then they kill him off in the middle of the season. She doesn't get killed off at the middle of the season, it's towards the end this time. And then she becomes, this person that kills Sigourney Weaver's character, this person becomes the de facto villain for the rest of the series, the rest of the season, and she's not the best type of character to be replacing her with. It's just the same thing with Diamondback and Cottonmouth in Luke Cage. I felt that way. If Sigourney Weaver had kept that characterization and kept the character throughout the entire season, it probably would have made for a much better show. But I do think, on the other hand, you wouldn't have had a pretty awesome ending with Daredevil. There's a part in this show where I started to tear up. It was towards the very end. And I never, there was articles releasing online. It's like, oh, who was going to die in The Defenders? And I never read those articles. I stayed away from all spoilers, and I was fairly surprised. And at the end of it, they kind of teased the return of said character, and I was like, oh my gosh, you played with my emotions. Marvel's played with my emotions, and it's, I felt that was really good about this show. The character interactions between these characters are really, really well done. They're almost to the same level of character interaction as the first Avengers film. I really like it. I really like the writing for this show, as I'll say many, many more times before. If it's one thing that I kind of have a problem with, is that some of the cinematography towards the final act of the show, the final 2 episodes, is a bit dark and could have handled a little bit more lighting or something to brighten up the room, because you could barely see any of the action. I'm going to give The Defenders a B+. It's a worthwhile show to watch, and if you have the time to watch it, I'd suggest watching it now. It's on Netflix. It's $10 a month to get a membership at Netflix. It's a really fun series to watch, and I can't wait to see where they take Daredevil Season 3 and their other shows as well. I'm also seeing The Punisher, which is going to be pretty awesome. But yeah, it's 8 episodes, 8 hours long. Take as much time as you need to watch it, because it's probably not going to go away until 2019, according to Disney, that is. But yeah, with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching my review of The Defenders. Look out for my Death Note review, my Logan Lucky review, and my Wind River review. So, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.